I'm wearing a hoodie. It's hoodie season. It's also freezing. I gotta be honest there. I'm gonna just check my live feed. Let me know if you can hear me. And let me just give me 1 second. I'm gonna scroll down and see if there's volume. It's also free. Oh yeah, there's volume, all right. Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I don't know about you all, but it's cold over here. It's fall. Wonderful weather though. I hope you are having an awesome morning. Good morning. I hope that good morning, whoever hopped on, say hello. I hope that you woke up refreshed if you're following, the videos, so on and so forth. I hope that you also have some revelation. Today's the day that you're going to make it the best day. You're going to make some required changes to advance. The topic is how to tell if he's toxic to date, but it's going to encompass a little bit more. And I'm going to also go over some of the points that I made in a prior video about what it means to be an empowered woman. It's still early for me right now. As I say, always I get up between 4 and 5. Woke up freezing. So I have my hot coffee here warming up my hands. So a lot of interesting things happened last night. I usually do a good evening post. Didn't do that. I was on conference calls, meetings, arranging things for guest speakers to come on to really powerhouse this topic. This message is not going to apply to the women that still have to learn those valuable lessons. You do not learn or walk into the topics that I'm sharing and the points that I'm giving on how to be an empowered, strong woman without going through some shit. Our greatest lessons are learned by the mistakes that we make through, above all, pain, the pain that comes from making those mistakes and choices. This message is for the women who are already aware to just say, proud of you. I'm so happy you're on this side of the fence. You're sitting at this banquet table. You know where you're at, where you're going. And for the women who are becoming aware and they're like, okay, where do I start? Where do I begin? Because now I'm processing the pain of choices that I made, the wrong selection in men, or having been deceived and walked into something. I thought that I had, boundaries and these certain standards. How did this guy slip through the cracks? And now I'm fed up with that. I'm tired of dealing with that. I want to encourage all you women out there that sit on this side of the fence, that are sitting at this banquet table, to not give up on love, and that's to not give up on yourself when I speak of love. And then moving forward, the extension of love, being able to love somebody else, not to give up on dating and meeting the right one. Take note, I said meeting the right one, not finding the right one. You don't chase after men. You don't go looking for men. If you're utilizing dating sites, don't confuse that with chasing and looking, in the sense that you just have to have a man in your life in order to survive and thrive and not feel lonely. So it is okay to peruse the market, but it's not okay to go after defective goods or products. Okay, so let me recap something. This message is going to be like almost like salt in a wound, especially for the women, the ladies that don't want to give up that toxic man. The women or girls, I unfortunately I have to call you girls, okay, that don't want to give up the toxic man, that's still giving him his fifth chance. I love you girls out there equally, I do, but I also recognize that this message will fall on deaf ears when it pertains to you being in this category, just as it'll fall on deaf ears for the boys out there. They get very upset and angry over exposing this because, again, they have that fear of being cock blocked. And like I always say, I'm not out there to cock block anybody. I'm out there to castrate and to make women aware that understand these principles. You have cohorts more than you know across the globe, and the women that are fed up and want to sit at this banquet table, you're on the right track. You're both sides. You're on the right track. And the girls out there, you're gonna have to go through some shit. You're gonna have to go through those mistakes because I know you've heard. Here you have me, a stranger, telling you get out of that toxic relationship. Stop giving opportunities and chances because in the end it will backfire. You also, I'm sure, have encountered family members and friends that have told you the same thing, and you're still moving forward in that toxicity, making excuses that love is unconditional, not recognizing that love is unconditional, but it does not mean to accept, embrace conditional abuse. Confusing kindness with, well, I got to be kind, absolutely, you be kind. Be kind to yourself first, and recognizing that you should not put yourself in negative environments or situations. What's another one? Well, I got to forgive. Well, love is a component. Forgiveness is a component of love, and forgiveness is a beautiful thing, but not recognizing that you need to forgive yourself for making the same mistakes repeatedly and lowering your standards for allowing toxicity in your life in the form of a man, and really reflect on why you continue to do it. You can't pass the buck. You're not doing it because of that man. You are doing it because of your need for a man and hoping that he's going to change and be everything that you know he should be, instead of stepping out of that, loving yourself, and getting the very thing or assets about a man already presented, where the guy has already done the work. I think of this pop group, and when I say that, Boys to Men, right? So stop fucking with the boys and focus on yourself, loving yourself, and attract the men, not the boys. I have always been confused and perplexed why any girl will sit by the wayside and wait for a boy to become a man and make the changes that he knows that he should be making. And there's also a sadness to that option that you girls choose, because you're creating more harm than good in your life. You're allowing that type of energy into your life. And it doesn't matter how many times there's good days, because there's always going to be those like good days, which is also the deceptive bait that keeps you trapped. You open the door up for anxiety, depression, confusion, chaos. I always say garbage in, garbage out. What you allow, what you take in to your environment will, it basically will manifest in different ways in your mind, moods, thoughts, emotions. And, a relationship is not about being happy only when that other person is happy or when they appear to be correcting behavior. What you are essence doing and involving yourself in a what is known as a dysfunctional cycle. That's all that is. I don't think anybody eats raw food. I think that you all out there, and whether you're a girl still not understanding this lesson yet, or a woman that's already aware, you're all out there ready to, partake in food that's already been prepared and cooked. So, why are you settling for a man that's not even ready? And the sad state is most of these men, or boys rather, it's not about them being ready, especially when they're 25 and up. It is their willful defiance in not recognizing their own self-worth and their ability to lead and be a man that has that masculinity, but then can also embrace and know that it's not being a wuss to have emotions. So there's this balance here. Insecure men don't handle emotion well. They're also known as emotionally immature. Insecure men think it's beneath them. And the boys, there's two sides of this coin that operate with this inability to understand emotion and to embrace it. Then you have the opposite end of the spectrum where you have like highly emotional boys, but I'm talking about 25 on up, like full grown men, like trapped in the adolescent stage where they're whiners, complainers, they require a lot of attention. It's indicative of mommy issues. It's indicative of, a whole host of other issues on top of that. So what you want to look for is a balance, like a man that can lead and be strong and also emotionally available, a man that could listen to you and give you respectful advice and opinion. And what do I mean by respectful advice and opinion? Not at all times does a woman require any type of advice and opinions. If she does, she'll ask that. A strong woman will ask for that. But more or less, when it's done in respect, that is also giving the woman her free right, free will to choose. So basically, listen to advice or opinions, but in the end, decipher, sift through that and make your own decisions, form your own opinions out of that. It may very well be possible that a man who is well balanced will impart good advice and opinions, and a woman is strong enough to recognize whether that's the case or whether it's utter bullshit. A man who's constantly coddling a girl over anxiety, depression. A lot of times, you girls out there, unfortunately, aren't recognizing he's the fucking cause of that. And if you already have an underlying health condition regarding that type of thing, you are exasperating it by being with a man who is emotionally immature, with the constant cycles of lying, cheating, game playing. 1 minute it's good, the next minute it's not. So again, this message cannot be received by the girls who are choosing to backtrack and keep giving chances in this scenario. Unfortunately, some people have to learn the hard way. And I myself have found myself in situations where I've had to learn the hard way, which is why I drive this part and this point rather hard. I drive it like really hard. I really emphasize on this a lot because it's my hope that one of you girls out there that are doing this or more recognize that I've already been through certain scenarios, and there's a lot of women out there that have, which is why we have this strong stance. And so the hope is that you get out of this type of thing sooner than later to save yourself a lot of heartache, pain, and have a lot of your time being put towards building wonderful things and having exactly what you want, instead of distracting yourself with the wrong things to where you're completely blinded. You're blinded. Oh, where do I go? I don't know how to go. I don't know how to leave, but I love him. You can't love somebody when you're not loving yourself, because when you love yourself, you don't want anything less than what you give yourself. So the lesser things that you're receiving is exactly what you give yourself. And if you're uncomfortable with receiving less from a boy and not getting your needs met, that is your warning alarm right there that shows that there is something inside of you telling you right there, that's your intuition telling you, get the fuck out. And if you do, hopefully, God willing, you're going to understand, you're going to open the door to so many possibilities. You can't see with blinders in your way. You just can't do it. That's like impossible. So stop distracting yourself with the wrong people, places, and things, and get out of that toxic relationship. Let's see here. Let me find my notes because I have a lot of notes here. Drop of good morning. Um, mm, You women that are entertaining these toxic men, you need to understand right now, I'm going to be blunt, they don't like you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you. In some cases, you're just a transaction. They don't love you. They don't have the capacity to love you and to give you what you need, evidently, because you keep backtracking and giving opportunities and you keep catching them in mess ups. The only reason why you are still in the picture, if you're dealing with this type of man, is because you allow their behavior and you keep giving them opportunity and access to your life. So it's evident if ever you confront a toxic man or boy, rather, once you start doing that, they come up with the excuses. Why are you badgering me? Why are you complaining? You're just never happy. There's a whole like list, and I can't think of them all on the top of my head. Literally, you're allowing that type of treatment. You're allowing that type of response. And then what do some of you women do or girls do? You start crying or you get upset and you're like, well, I'm going to ignore him. You take the passive aggressive approach. And then you just keep going back and then you pick up the phone and it's like, then you start apologizing for things that aren't your fault. Then you start making his fucking problem your problem. And you group it into, well, let's fix this. We can fix this. If he decides to drink, drug, cheat, lie, not level up and commit, and a whole host of other toxic issues that you can add to the list, those are his problems. Those are his issues. That is for him to fix. Ask yourself, why are you saying and making it your problem, or it's something that you're choosing to do by saying, we can do this. We're going to get through this. Okay. So you're doing it because you're lacking self-love. You're lacking the ability to focus because you've been in this type of relationship for far too fucking long. And when you stay in something that does not offer value, you end up lowering your standards to accommodate that. When you stay in something that does not have value, you will begin to compromise and lower your standards to accommodate that. So now you're making his problems your problems, you're lowering your self-worth and value, and you're accepting all of that. So when you do that and you come back with, I'm so sorry, again, apologizing for things that are not your fault, saying it's we can fix this together, you have literally just catered to an immature boy. You have mommied him, but I still love you anyway, like seriously, you've done the very things that only reinforce his negative and poor behavior, because now he doesn't feel like shit anymore, which he really should stay feeling like shit, because that's the only time he can reflect and be forced to really work out his issues. So while he's pissed off at you for making him face that reality, remember, you're whiny, you're complaining. The other girl over here, Becky, Melissa, I'm going to just go and talk to them. She doesn't have any drama and any chaos. That's because the girl is not holding him accountable. So he knows who to go to and manipulate for control. So then what do? You end up submitting to that bullshit and you become like a Becky and Melissa. And then he's all lovey-dovey with you, and then he placates you back to just bait you along. Like, okay, yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. And then you think he's having an epiphany. He's not having an epiphany. He's not aware of his mistakes. He's basically just happy that he doesn't have to focus on it anymore. You took the fucking bait. He's got an in again, okay? And now he doesn't have to feel like complete utter shit because you are allowing him that opportunity to not face his own demons on his own. Like he's just like, oh, cool, I'm back in. See, it wasn't that bad. I'm really not a bad person, right? So now you've become that Becky and / Melissa, and some of you girls out there need to wake up and recognize, like, he's going to sit there and now cater to you to a degree, but his behavior is not going to change. It's going to manifest again, right? And then he's also still screwing around with Becky and Melissa the same way. And the reason for that is he's got to keep that door open. Just in case you wake up and open your eyes, he's going to need something to backtrack to and cling to. What this is about is this boy is basically just completely dodging what he needs to do to fix himself and make himself better for himself. And you girls out there that are entertaining these boys, you are in essence in a codependent relationship. You are enhancing, reinforcing the negative behavior. If there's all these different girls out here doing this, you decide to wake up, become empowered, and say enough of this bullshit. There's plenty of other girls out there operating like this. While the numbers are going down, thank the heavens above, because girls are becoming women and they are waking up and they are taking back their voice. These girls still exist. Don't be one of them. That's the message. And the more girls that become women and become empowered and embrace this, the less of these toxic men there will be in your life and other women, right? They're still going to be toxic. But the objective here is to smoke their asses out. Smoke them out, baby. Get on the right side of the fence. You're a woman. Operate in that power. Stop hanging around the men, or the boys rather. Stop doing that. You want to starve them. Starve them. Stop feeding these toxic men. So if you feed them and you decide to do so, coming back complaining and crying, hey Risa, good morning queen, complaining, crying to friends, family members, that he did it again. I'm so hurt. I'm never going to find love. You know, it's these toxic boys that aren't going to get that and aren't going to have that. You keep hanging around that and accepting that, you're going to actually believe that. Because when you separate yourself from that and you are empowered, you grow in your strength, that is you becoming aware and saying no more to this. I'm not going back to that, and I don't need that if it presents itself in another wolf in sheep's clothing, right? You're keeping that energy away from you in order to get the things that you deserve. So now you take this toxic boy back. You have lowered your standards with your apologies. You're chasing him. He's not budging because you called him out on his bullshit, right? So you budge. You budge and then you call it compromise. Please do not confuse compromise with lowering standards, because that's what that is. So you tell yourself, well, I compromised. I loved him. I love him. Again, you're not in love with him and you don't love him. You are in desperation of needing a man instead of wanting one to enhance what you already have. And you can't love someone when you're not loving yourself, because to love yourself means that you're not going to tolerate somebody giving you and treating you any which way or less than what you deserve. So you slap on the baby powder. There might be a rash or two, so you throw in some ointment. You fasten his diaper in the form of, I'm sorry, babe. I'm sorry, sweetie. You know, you were right. Like, I don't really mean to nag and complain. You know, maybe I could have said that differently. Really? How many times do you got to tell him to put the bottle down? How many times is too many before you've just had enough? So now you're not allowed to have feelings. You're not allowed to express your emotions of upset. You're not allowed to feel upset. Ooh, that's interesting, because last time I checked, in a healthy relationship, two people are free to discuss how they feel. And that's an awesome, healthy thing, right? Two people are looking to grow together and to evolve. So when a point where something is brought up that, hey, you know, and I know a lot of you girls will start out with the, hey, you know, could you probably not do that so much? And, you know, I want some honesty. You start out talking nice. You start out having those conversations. in a healthy way. When you are dealing with a toxic man, and how you know you're dealing with a toxic man is when you start out having those conversations in a healthy way, and you find yourself now yelling, shouting, screaming, and freaking out. That is indicative of you not having been listened to all those other times. And now all of a sudden you're the toxic person to him, which is bullshit, because he was the toxic one to start out with. And you asked him, can you please not cheat? Which you shouldn't even have to be asking a guy like that. That's complete ridiculousness right there. And to say, well, everybody cheats is also bullshit. Don't make excuses for this poor behavior by saying that everybody cheats, because I know for a fact I ain't one of them. And there's tons of other women out there like that. And there are men that have the same standards and values, but operate in them, in their masculinity, that also don't cheat. The problem is you're around losers. You're basically in the wrong, you're in murky waters. You're in the swamp area fishing out low-level toxic fish. They probably got like 3 friggin' eyes, and I don't even want to know. Toxic fish when you should be like diving into the deep oceans. Had me thinking, yeah, right? Risa said it right there. They'll have you think, she goes, had me thinking that I was crazy. And that's what happens. Like, they reverse that. That is so true. Like, thank you for making that point. So yeah, like, you could even come into a relationship of healthy mind knowing that you can communicate and share, like, I really don't like that you're drinking this too much, when he's drinking excessively. But like, you want to approach it the right way instead of saying you're an excessive drinker, blah, 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 right? You want to approach it the right way and say, hey, like, the drinking is a little bit too much. You think you could settle it down. Point number 1, if you even have to say that, you need to get the fuck out. You need to walk away from that relationship. As women, we are always nurturers, the caretakers, and the fixers. Risa is absolutely right. It is an awesome quality for a strong, empowered woman to be a nurturer, which she is. She is nurturing a man on his hard days of busting his ass. She's nurturing a strong man on the hard days of busting his ass. That is back rubs, massage, loving on him. And this is a healthy man we're talking about, right? So she nurtures, right? Good sex. Why not? A woman has no problem with that if the guy's doing what he's supposed to do. Caretakers, that encompasses the same thing. Maybe wash his clothes. There's nothing wrong with all that. You little boys out there shouting and screaming bullshit is utter bullshit. Like, you women go and take a cooking class. I'll do laundry, this and that. Like, we have a fucking problem with that. No strong, empowered woman has a problem with taking care of her man. The problem that she's going to have is a man that doesn't know how to take care of himself, hence has the inability to take care of her. Get it right. Caretakers, that Risa said, and fixers, right? You don't want to fix a man's problem, but the other word for fixing, and you're right, Risa, is like giving wisdom, imparting wisdom. You see him grinding hard and he's doing his job and he's busting his ass and all that. Wisdom is like, hun, take a back seat, slow down a little bit, take some time for yourself. Like, I see that you're going, a little hard there, which is okay, but now it's time to take a break, right? So it's okay for women to be nurturers, caretakers, fixers, but you girls have to recognize you got to stop giving those qualities and those awesome assets to boys, and stop confusing those qualities with something that you have to give to boys every time he lies, he cheats, he is drinking, he's drugging. Stop doing that. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing, repeating the same thing, hoping for a different result. Why don't you just be insane about success, insane about loving yourself, right? Like, keep on doing that, right? Keep on doing that. Be insane in a different way. Because in a different way, in that example that I've given, you will get a different result. Okay? Be obsessed about that. rather than being obsessed about, some toxic boy that you keep blowing up his phone, you keep running back to, you keep accepting the apologies when blunt, he stuck his dick in another female multiple times and now he's running back to you saying he's sorry. Like, that's not a mistake. Wake up. Stop saying, well, everybody cheats and blah, 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 because not everybody cheats. It's like you're just in the wrong arena. You're hanging around. You're playing with the liars, the cheats, the naysayers, the backstabbers, the gossipers, the negative-minded, the lack of vision. Just the list can go on with toxicity. Get out of that arena. Get out. I say, when the thinking is so small in the room, you need to step outside that room so that you can change your mind, right? Until you finally realize, Risa says, until you finally realize that you cannot do it for someone, they have to want to do it for themselves. And that's exactly right. If you go to the video below by Tommy, please go down on my Facebook page. Look, I'm so happy. Awesome woman, strong ass woman. She got a lot of backlash from boys. Like, here's the other thing. You're entertaining these toxic boys. You're not confronting them. What happens is, again, when you confront them, they run back to somebody else who's going to accept the scenario. And I feel bad for those girls too, because now that boy can no longer get away with his bullshit with you. So now he goes to the next vulnerable girl who's not aware of her strength, who is not empowered as a woman and does not have a voice, okay? Because she allowed him to take it away by enabling and allowing his toxic behavior, right? So you, like I said, become like a Becky and Melissa, and you start doing what she's doing, because after all, he's running back to that. And then now you're calling up and you're apologizing and no, that's my man, like fighting over that. Okay, anyhow, that's a whole nother topic. And then, like I said, he'll be like, honey, babe, yeah, I'm sorry, you're right. And that's only because you gave into his bullshit. You accepted it. In essence, you actually accepted it because you did not lay down boundaries. You did not walk away from that toxic relationship indefinitely. You've become a Becky Melissa who's having the same issues. And then over time, you will stay in that relationship. And before you know it, you're not even fucking complaining anymore. That's not cool. That's not good. That's not safe. I love you all too much to stay like that. Get out of that. Because that's about the time shit's going to really hit the fan. You're going to end up with additional problems. The behavior is still going to be there. You can end up with STDs. It is. Yeah, Risa, thank you so much. Risa. Like, if you could see my exasperation with my hands, or I grew up in a Sicilian household. Yeah, that happens sometimes. I don't know. So I'm like, if you could see it even in my expression, but Risa just nailed it for me right here. She says it's absolutely exhausting. Oh my God, it is. That's where you women, you girls rather, lose yourself in that point of reference, exhaustion. And then you got two options, make moves or make fucking excuses. And you poor girls out there that are making the excuses, come to the banquet table, drop that loser today. Get out of it. Go through the pain, the process of healing. And you're going to have to recognize that that is something that you need to go through. And it's going to take time and it's going to take work, simply because you've allowed it to fester for so long. For the longer you entertain a guy like that, the more work it's going to take to heal and process everything. But it's so worth it in the end. So come out of that, because Risa made a good point. It is true. And I guess that's exactly what I'm trying to emphasize. It's absolutely exhausting. And when you get to that point of reference, the exhausted state, girls have choices. Make moves, make excuses. You make the moves, you're going to come out shining bright like a diamond on the other side. You make excuses, you're going to remain in that stuck state and you will lose yourself. And when I say you will lose yourself, I'm going to get very blunt and real with you. Some women end up committing suicide because they've become so utterly depressed, broken down, beat down, and they literally get to a point where they go from there's something out there for me. And then they find a guy and then they say, here it is. And then they realize he's toxic and they stay. And then they start to question, is this all there is? And this can't be right. This isn't right. And then they fight it and they rebuttal and they stay in it, trying to make excuses, trying to fix them, trying to work it out, keep giving the chances, making excuses as to why you're giving the chances. And I outlined what those excuses are in the beginning of this live, to the point that you no longer fight like you used to or believe the things that you used to believe. And now it becomes complete, utter misery. You are in the clutches and at the mercy of somebody who's totally toxic, makes you feel like shit about yourself, low self-esteem, and no love for self, and this belief that love doesn't exist and this is not real and this is how it is and everybody's like this and everybody has problems. And some women statistically end up staying in these volatile, just horrible, toxic, abusive relationships until the day they die. They never get the opportunity to realize that they could have had better if they had done better. And so some don't even make it out. You know, some get so utterly depressed. Understand there is something called environmental mental health issues. So you could be an otherwise very healthy person, and being around that type of toxicity environmentally, it fucks with your endorphins, it fucks with your stress levels, your cortisol levels, your hormone levels. It does everything. And especially if you women out there, you're pregnant, which, you know, that's a whole other mess, and like by these men. So in essence, you can become depressed, have anxiety. And so some women are, you know, so oppressed by these violent relationships because they've allowed themselves to be beat down. They lose themselves, and literally that can manifest into a huge physical crisis of thinking the wrong thoughts. Okay. So you've got that, and then, you know, you've got them turning to addictions. Some of them just go, like, they self-destruct in other ways too. Like, then they start cheating back on the guy, and then they're having multiple conquests, and they're, you know, convincing themselves now that they can handle this, and if he's going to do it, then I'm going to do it. And then, like, pop, they got STDs now because, and it's like, you're doing all of this because you were with a loser. Recognize that. You've been with a loser. Don't let it get that far. Don't let it get to that point. You know, if your upset and stress level has to hit the surface one too many times, you know, trying to identify, understand, there is no understanding in little boys like that. That's not your problem. There is nothing to identify, only the fact that this person is not healthy for you. But if you find yourself in this type of scenario, that's your cue to get out. Do not pass go. Do not keep trying to fix. Do not keep making excuses. Okay. So Risa, I love it. I love these comments. Risa's nailing it. She's on fire. She says, know the worth of the prize you're competing for. Woo! I love that. Know the worth of the prize you're competing for. And you just made a quote. That's a powerful friggin' quote, girl. Coin that. Coin that. I want to see you women out there become leaders, and that's powerful. You know, like, I drop a quote on my quote page from this knowledge, okay? Becoming intellectual about anything requires going through mistakes, processing pain, being real, being accountable about what you need to navigate and what you need to change personally in order to counteract against things that keep trying to trip you up or have tripped you up. That, what Risa just wrote, is know the worth of the prize you're competing for. And I like that. And, you know, I totally share that, Risa. Put that, like, in a quote, put that out there for women. Whenever I drop certain quotes, on my quote page, Motivation Queens quote page, uh, there's a bunch of hits, and the bunch of hits is not because like, wow, she writes so well. It's because I feel what I write. I've experienced what I write. I write what I know to be truth. I write in order to identify with the countless women out there that are in limbo, like, this is wrong. I know it's wrong, but I don't know how to get out. I write to confirm to the other strong, empowered women that they are on the right track. And what is all that geared towards? Iron sharpens iron. Inertia breeds inertia, right? A body that stays in motion, or a body in motion stays in motion. Exhortation, exhorting, planting seeds. Just as there's garbage in, garbage out, what we speak and believe, their thoughts, what we speak to ourselves and tell ourselves, our thoughts become words. And what we speak forth, we bring out that energy and we will manifest back. So it's about exhorting other women. It's about confirming in them, calling out that warrior in them. Okay? That strength, that self-control, being empowered, also being sweet. We don't give out our sweetness and our sweet side to the boys. Okay? That ship is, there's no tickets for that if you're a boy. Okay? We don't do that. We save our best assets, the nurturing, the caretaking, as Risa was just discussing, for the men who are worthy and who deserve that. You don't go out to a 5-star restaurant trying it out for the first time and you're like, damn, I know why they got 5 stars. You don't turn around and leave them $1 tip. You give to others in equal proportion to what their value and worth is. If you do not value your worth and give yourself that love, you are going to remain in this type of relationship with a low-level guy who is meeting you at your level. And the unfortunate truth is some of you girls out there didn't even enter the relationship like that. You entered in initially with self-awareness and self-love, but being around a toxic guy like that, that's going to break you down to the point where if you stay around that long enough, you then compromise your own morals, your values to accommodate their low-level frequency. And again, how does that happen? He cheated, but he won't cheat again. I caught him over here. So when Risa wrote, know the worth of the prize you're competing for, I like that too, because you girls are out there competing for a guy that, I don't know, like, I don't even know if they still have these anymore. There's like those, those toy machines, you drop in a quarter or 50 cents and the little plastic ball drops to the bottom and like you open it up and you get a prize and it's like, oh, like that shit works when you're like 5 years old. You're not 5 anymore. And a woman who knows that and recognizes that is not going to entertain a boy who acts like a 5-year-old trapped in a man's body, right? So it's like you open up that it's like that plastic thing. You open it up and you're like, ooh, and it's like a fake ring that will rust on your finger. That's your prize that you're going after. That's the level of, that's not a prize even. That's like, so that's why when Risa just wrote, know the worth of the prize you're competing for, that's so true. And you can't really determine the worth of the prize that you're competing for if you don't have worth yourself. You're going to allow and make allowances for like a fake counterfeit diamond. Drama. Chaos. No direction. You don't need that. You don't deserve that. There is one important point that I want to make. It'll come to me, or I'll have to come back to that in a minute. Because when Risa just wrote that quote, just blew my mind. Amazing, 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 amazing. So I just wanted to recap something on a prior live video about what it means to be empowered. Oh, there it is. Toxic men. So how do you know he's toxic? He does not let you express his emotions. Anytime you discuss something, a negative habit or trait about him that needs to be changed, he cries foul. He says that you're picking on him. He says that you're not allowing him to be himself, and he'll figure it out on his own. Good. If he even says that, you're lucky. Call him on his fucking bluff. Dump his ass and let him figure it out on his own. He gets it right. He gets it right. You need to move forward with your life. Because if you've encountered any of these things, you automatically should know that you are in the presence of a toxic man and you need to get out. Okay? Trying to compare you to other women, like that's another toxicity. The moment, and this generally only happens when you call that toxic boy out or catch him doing something that violates your trust and the fake, honestly, it's fake relationship, then he'll start saying things like, well, she over there doesn't do that, and that's why I talk to her over here, and blah, blah, blah. Like right there, okay, he is avoiding accountability to face and work on his own issues. And really what he's saying is, Melissa is letting me get away with my bullshit. She tolerates it. I don't have to hear it from her. Like any woman that is allowing a man to walk all over her, or girl rather, that is allowing a man to walk all over her, then if you hear this message and you finally say, you know what, like I'm really seeing this for what this is. Like these guys, this type of guy needs to go. That I'm done with this. Like, wow, I've been really deceived. Like, understand, you have been. You have been deceived. You have been fucked with on all sorts of levels that you have not even become aware of. Like, I've only scratched the surface, and I'm going to be going deep with some of the other things. Like, it's crazy. They don't give a fuck about you, and it doesn't matter how much they say they do, because the moment you call them out or expose them on something, they're going to show you how much they really do care. Okay. And again, like I told you, if ever there's a breach in you where you start to compromise and you start running after these guys or apologizing, the worst thing you can do is apologize for things that are not your fault, or apologizing for having emotions of upset, and you are met with rebuttal and attack from the boy for doing so. Like it could be verbal, it could be silent treatment, it could be any of those things. Right there, that guy has just told you he does not respect your emotional, the ultimately what it really boils down to, he does not even protect you. He doesn't protect your emotions. He doesn't protect you. Okay? He's basically saying you're wrong for feeling upset about these things. And he's going to tell you, or he's going to ignore you, or he's going to, that's a no-go right there. You should be recognizing that. If you have somebody in your life that you love, apart from Dick, who is a dick, these little boys, you got to get away from them. Take, for example, a child, if you will, that you have in your life, or somebody dear to you. That could be your mother, your father, your grandma, your aunt. If they came to you and they expressed emotions of upset, okay, and you love them, and you know that they love you, and they even said to you, I don't think he's really good for you, honey, I'm just going to let you know. Are you going to give them you're not going to give them the silent treatment. So I'm not going to even ask if you will. It's a rhetorical question, because the answer is so obvious and blaring. you're going to know that they love you. And they're saying that, because of those reasons. And there's just, and deep down inside, you know that they're right. And because they love you, there's no fear of showing that vulnerability and the emotional side. And that vulnerability consists of being able to be accountable and humble. Like, yeah, I know he's not right for me. You're right, Auntie Beth, whatever your aunt's name may be, or your grandma. But whereas if I say it to you, you don't really know me. Unless I resonate finally, and the only way I'm going to resonate, my message is going to resonate, is if you've literally had fucking enough. Okay? Or somebody off the street, or a girlfriend that you've had issues with before, but for some reason you're still friends with them. I guess maybe because you have fun times. She's like your drinking buddy, or, whatever reasons you have. But you just know that you don't really value like certain advice from her. So, plus you've seen her make certain mistakes. So she would be the last person you take advice from, let's just say regarding a relationship. And so if she were to say this to you, the automatic thing is defense. Like, yeah, well, he's good. We're working our problems out. We're working it out. When that's actual bullshit. The only reason why you gave her that response again is because there isn't that room for vulnerability, because you don't really have that depth and connection, that friendship with her. Like I said, she could just be your party buddy, somebody you kick it with, but there's just certain things that she does in her own life that you're just like, yeah, you're the last one to give me advice, but you don't want to hurt her feelings. You don't tell her that. So you're on defense and you shut down. You're not being true, or truthful rather. But it's understandable because you're not going to be emotionally open to certain individuals. And that's how it should be, especially when it comes to little boys. Shut that shit down. So backing up, you're with Auntie Beth and you share with Auntie Beth, how life is going. And she shares with you, when it comes to the relationship, if you discuss that, let's say you do, she says to you, I don't really think he's good for you. And these are the reasons why. Now that defense is not, it's not there, because that's Auntie Beth. Auntie Beth loves you, right? So you're going to receive that. You say, yeah, you're right. I'll figure something out. Not like, Auntie Beth, well, we're working it out, or I'm done with this conversation, or you ignore Auntie Beth. And guess what? Auntie Beth don't really love you. That's why you shut her down. And you really don't love yourself because you don't give a fuck. He's toxic and you'll figure it out. And you're just so desperate for that relationship, when in all actuality, if you love yourself, you're not going to be that desperate. You're going to know that you deserve better and you're going to go out and get better. Well, guess what? That response that you have is the same response that toxic boy is giving you every time you call him out. Exactly, Risa. Those kinds of boys are master manipulators. Every time he calls you out, and what's that indicative of? Everything what I just shared. He don't give a fuck about you. He does not really love you. Okay? Because love encompasses many things, not abuse, not bullshit, not drama like that. Okay? Love inspires another individual to be the best version of themselves. They want that. Okay? There's a term out there called power couples. Awesome term. I don't fuck with anything less. If I don't see a power couple in the making, game over. Strike. That's it. Good morning, Tina Bean. Look for that power couple. Like that power people, like, again, that's why women, we're awesome. And the women that stick together in strength and empower one another know that. And on this side of the fence and at this banquet table, you don't see us backtracking to exes, friends with benefits, hookups. Get the hell out of here with all that nonsense. We're not doing that. And again, shake that ass with class, not trash. Stop entertaining trash. Be classy. You can be sexy. You can show as much skin as you want to show. And the bottom line is, who are you allowing to have access to that? And why are you doing it? Because you really should be doing that and being, looking good and feeling good for your damn self, And you find a guy that's up on that same level, you want power couple. Right, Tina? She's laughing already. You don't want that. I see some of you girls out there get nasty talking about, like, literally publicly, you're like, yeah, I love dick. I love to fuck. As vulgar as that just sounded, that's exactly how some of you girls out there are talking and acting. You can have at it. Just like those boys, they can have at it and they can be like boys. But see, here's the boundary, and I'm gonna outline this boundary with you and for you to better understand. This way, there cannot be any confusion when somebody rises up either on the girl side of the fence or the boy side of the fence, shouting and touting, you're judging me. I can do whatever I want to do. Oh, like all the cries that go on. Nobody's not telling you you can do whatever you want to do, but don't bitch and moan and complain at the end when the outcome is utter shit. And so here's the prime example. Okay, so you got the boys not leveling up, not taking lead. They are manipulating, they're lying, doing all these things, right? Stay in your lane. If you want to be that type of girl, you cannot complain at the end of the day when all you're getting are guys, or boys rather, that want to use you just to fuck, want to use you for company, offer no benefits and bring no benefits to the table. And why am I even saying this? Like, why would I speak this if you girls out there like this exist, right? If you're going to just choose to do whatever anyway, you must like that type of attention. You must like having your heart broken. And that's exactly why I'm doing this, because I know deep down inside you don't like it. You don't. Men, on the other hand, boys, they generally don't give a fuck about themselves if they're out there treating women like this. And 10 times out of 10, just see how they treat their mom. And there you go. There you have it. Like, that's also another sign if you are fortunate enough to see how they interact with their mother. One of my ex-thingies, I got to see how he interacted with his mother. He was horrible to her. He was like a dictator to her. And there was times she would say things incorrectly because her English wasn't so great. He would like just override and control and be nasty in his responses and be like, that's not how you say that. And this is like out in public at a dinner table, and the poor woman like held her head down. And I sat there, my tongue, if there was blood coming off of my tongue, it was that night. Because I just sat and I looked, and then I looked at her over at her husband, and I'm like, why the fuck isn't he saying anything? And I'm looking at her. And then my upset fizzled out because at that point, it was overtaken by how hurt she looked. And like, I'm looking at him. Oh yeah, well, obviously we're not together anymore. I made that shit real. But I made sure to make some points be known about that. But ultimately, I would have loved, and this is a lesson I learned, and I will never, ever do this again. Because one of the components of empowering another woman is being an empowered woman. And when you are empowered, you then have the ability, again, to empower other women. So if ever I find myself in a situation like that, first of all, I don't hold on to relationships like that. If I see warning signs, I backtrack out of that. And I'm listing these all for you. Also, don't remain in the toxic relationship, but it's also understandable. There's deception out there. There are boys who will pretend to be men. Leave those boys to play with themselves. All right, Risa, wait. Leave. All right, wait. Okay, I know where I'm going to go. I'm not going to lose my train of thought on that one. But Risa, that's hilarious. That's fucking so true. Like, seriously, they can go they leave those boys in the sandbox and they can all play with each other. Like, so, yeah, she said, leave those boys to play with themselves in the sandbox. Exactly. Like, get the hell out of here. So, I know if ever I encountered a deceptive type, like legitimately, if I could rewind to that moment when I saw him speak to his mother like that, which he's attempted to speak to me like that multiple times. And The only thing that helped, what broke my resolve and caused me to, there was times I cried so much and I had so many like emotional outbursts and upset, and the pain was so deep because I was in a very vulnerable state because at the time I was pregnant and I had then miscarriage, and during my miscarriage, my daughter had just been diagnosed with cancer. So in all actuality, my upset didn't even have to do with like, I love you so much. It was more like, fuck this. Like, I was upset on a whole new level. Like, how dare you? Like, at the height. And Tina said, fuck that. And she's right. Tina Bean was with me through this crisis. She's the one that got the 3 a.m. phone calls, 2 a.m. phone calls. I mean, this guy was nasty and the stuff that happened, and he did. And then I was stuck with him, not by choice, but because of COVID lockdown. Like, yeah. So anyhow, Tina was there with me, and that's another thing I want to tell you girls out there. You have friends and family that finally stop ignoring you and tell you that they don't want to listen to what you have to say anymore about this particular guy. You need to heed that, because now you're really in a danger zone area in that you're choosing. Usually that happens because you're choosing to stay in it. So people are like, they don't want to hear it anymore. You can't say that nobody has empathy, compassion, or understand your situation when you're choosing. Yeah, it did suck. That's true, Tina. When you're choosing to stay in that, people are going to listen to you and help you and pull you out. Understand there's a large women here on this platform. You see them. I love you too, Queen. That will have your back, be there for you when you're crying, you're upset, you need to vent, you need to talk. You get to a point where you're like, oh, I feel like I got to call him again or talk to him again. Yeah, that's a no-go. There's accountability partners here on this forum, and they're more than willing. You guys have kind hearts and are more than willing to help get you armored up, trained, and graduating, to secure your throne. Okay. So stepping back, I wish that I had in that moment, I thought back to that when he belittled his mother, public or not, I would have, and I will do this, defend other women, by the way, defend other women. Okay. Is say straight up, I should have been like, that was a really demeaning thing to say, and look at her and be like, don't ever, whether that's your son or not, allow him to speak to you in that way. And personally would have ended that union right then and there. Unfortunately, he drove, and this happened on my birthday, by the way, too. He drove us to this place. I'm pretty resourceful in that sense. Unfortunately, like I said, I was stuck with him during the height of COVID. I would have just like Ubered my way back, But yeah, a lot of times, Risa says, a lot of times women stay with those boys because it's easier to just fall back with something that's familiar rather than fighting for yourself and putting in the work to pull yourself to get into a better place in life. And that's so true. So in essence, Risa, that's a very good point, and I'm so happy you said that. Thank you so much. Because what you just said, in essence, is the same thing that these boys are doing. So when you're calling them out on their BS and they're running to Becky, Melissa, because they tolerate that and they're cheating, and then they're making excuses that they did that because you don't really care and they're tired of your toxicity, just because you called them out on their toxicity, they're looking for a Band-Aid fix. They're refusing to fix the problem. They don't want to fix the problem. The only issue with the boys that do this is they really don't give a flying fuck about themselves. And a lot of times you got to be careful, because if they're highly disordered, they have no empathy, compassion. They're just into getting constant serotonin kicks, whether it's lifting weights, having multiple partners, getting like that endorphin rush. It's like an addiction. They're addicts. They don't have any true empathy, and they just live their life off of one high to the next. Whether it's working out, sexual conquest, or all of the above. Money. They're completely imbalanced. They're toxic. They offer nothing. It's disgusting, actually. And then even if it's not highly disordered, you can find this characteristics in boys that don't want to evolve. And unfortunately, Women, take that lead. Okay, we're emotional creatures, but we're fucking strong. Because I don't remember the last time I saw a man deliver a baby. I mean, when it comes to pain and comes to having to put up with some hard hits, like, that is your call, it's your recognition to understand that you got to take lead. You got to stand up, because to not want to evolve and, like Risa was saying, to basically do what these toxic boys are doing, it's easier to just fall back with something else that's familiar rather than fighting for themselves and putting the work in themselves to get into a better place in life. You ladies are allowing those type of men to be your fallback, to use you, because either a woman became aware, woke up, kicked his ass to the curb, or at first sight, she's like, get the fuck out of here. So you don't, like, you're becoming like this secondary leftover option and not recognizing that that's what you're doing, and then you're enabling his poor behavior. Okay? And again, there's some girls out there like that. Well, everybody cheats and everybody does this, and that's just how life is today, and that is not the reality. It does not encompass the globe, because there are people that got their shit straight mentally, physically, and if they don't have it 100% there, they're going to work their asses off to get it. They're not compromising. They're going to do that last, like, 50 crunch. They're going to do that last, mile. And we're not even just talking about the physical endurance of physical exercise, while it works in that situation too. We're talking about mental stamina, emotional stamina, building our faith and love muscle for ourselves, and for, self first and foremost, right? So yeah, like, stop settling. But there's these girls out there too that will just think the wrong thing, that this is normal, and that, well, there's toxic, so I might as well be toxic. So again, backtracking to what I was saying earlier, you girls out there that are being blatantly nasty and saying how much you love dick, and just whatever, just to fit in, and act like you're one of the guys. And it's like, you don't realize you just put yourself in a category where now you're entertaining this type of men. They're like, this girl's easy fucking access, and they will lie straight to your face about how cool you are, and how, like, oh, you don't seem to care, and like, oh, I could just be myself with you. I could just be myself with you. Like, whoa, you girls need to watch out and decipher. You don't care. You understand. I could just be myself with you, and you're thinking it's hot to try being like one of the guys, things of that nature. And, think about that. Translation: I don't have to fix a fucking thing. I don't have to do any work to acquire you, to get with you. Nothing. And you don't even have to make me recognize or face my inconsistencies as a bitch baby, a boy. And I can come and go as I please, and you don't care. I'm fucking multiple women on the side. You don't care. You don't even know, because you don't care. And you're over there thinking like, oh yeah, I'm winning something. And like Risa said earlier, know the worth of the prize, because you're not going after a prize. That value is like really, really low. I love what Risa said. She goes, for so long, I love a lot of what you're writing, Risa. Like, this is so on point. She said, for so long, I confuse sex for love. I think a lot of women do. Yeah, they do. You're right, Risa. Mm-hmm. You're right. A lot of women go through that. For me, growing up, I had different values, and I credit Tony Robbins. I legitimately credit Tony Robbins for this one, because I was 15 years old, and it's so weird. Okay, at 10 years old, I wanted to move to Los Angeles because I used to watch all the shows of Hollywood, and I was like, that's like the cool place to be. And I had like all these actors that I liked, and I never wanted to be an actress and things like that. I just needed to get to Hollywood, And I used to, I would stay up late at night, like formalizing a plan on how I was getting to California at 10. And I remember telling my family, like I said, I grew up in a Sicilian household. And every Sunday, if you're Italian, you know what that's like. Uh, Oh yeah, that's true. You have to have those Sunday dinners, and I say have to because I remember as I got older, I was like, why do we always have to go to grandma and eat macaroni? We eat macaroni like every freaking Sunday because that's what we do. You don't get like any answer. You just have to eat the macaroni. So I thought I was all rebellious as I got older. I'm like, well, I'm not eating it this Sunday. And then I remember being told, well, that's all there is, and if you don't eat it, then you guess you starve. So I didn't eat. So that's crazy. Like I refused to eat, so I didn't do it. But I remember saying that day, I guess to get my mind off of it, I remember saying to my family, Sunday dinner, I'm moving to California, and they were all laughing and like not laughing like ha, but they were laughing like, who's this little 10-year-old? What is she talking about? And they're like, well, how are you going to do that? I'm like, I'll figure out a way. And then one family member, chimes back, uh, well, you have to have a job. And I was like, I'll get one. So in line with what you're saying, Risa, about all women equate sex as love, is I think that I learned early on what the importance is of having goals, a plan, a vision. I don't know where that came from that young, only that I could, I guess, credit my grandfather because I remember in his library, he was an avid reader, and I was always drawn to that because every time I saw him, he had a book in his hand, and what are you reading, this and that, and he was always sharing with me the value of reading and the stories, and I began to read because of him at a young age, and he would give me books every week, like I was at the library because, every Sunday dinners we'd go there, and so each week I'd get a new book, and he would always say, did you finish your book? And if I finished it, he'd go turn it into the library, and then he'd give me a new book to read and let me pick things out. So that was instilling some values there. In addition, the one thing he said, and I remember being so mad that he said this, but I love him for it today. And as I got older, I realized is as I started coming across words that I couldn't pronounce or understand the meaning to, I would go to him and ask him, and he would say, look it up. And I was like, well, that's ridiculous. How am I going to look up the word if I don't even know how to spell it? He's like, sound it out. Like he made me, I'll never forget this. I think I was like 11, 12 at that time. And so I did it. And then he came back to me and said, you should read the dictionary. It's a lot of fun. You'll learn new words, and gave me a whole big, story about it. And I started reading the dictionary when I was young. It was phenomenal. It's actually fun. So going forward at 15 years old, I came across Tony Robbins because I used to sneak up in the middle of the night, watch TV, and I came across an infomercial. And there you have it. If anybody knows who Tony Robbins is, I don't have to say any more. But to watch him and listen to him at a young age, and I made it a point because the infomercial would always air between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. And I made it a point. I was watching this stuff, and he was talking about goals and vision and dreams and focus. And literally 7 years later, at 17 years old, I bought my first ticket, moved to California, did a whole host of things there. So I wasn't really chasing dick. That's the moral of the story. I wasn't chasing dick. I was single. And I stayed single for a long time, in great many years as a result of that. And literally, that was my timeline. And I firmly believe that that's what molded that in me and molded me. So it was my grandfather. It was the drive. It was listening to Tony Robbins, who had drive at such a young age, which I still to this day, I will never let it rest. I asked my mother for his box set, and she refused to buy it for me. She looked at me like, who is that? What are you talking about? All right, well, wait, how much is it? And then considered it. She's like, no, like, no. So yeah, I'm still, I guess, scarred from that, but that's okay because God is good. Because all these years later, I came across another individual and he's in the network with Tony Robbins, and I thank you so much. So like things have a way of manifesting, and it happens. And it taught me a lot about myself, and what that is to love yourself, to have goals, to strive for more. This is not this persona, this way of life is not just about like, oh, like name it, claim it, manifest your desires. And, like I said, the last video, rub this bottle of water and it'll come. Like, this is some serious, serious stuff. Buckle down, think of what it is you want, what it is you want to become. If you're fed up with the toxicity, the toxic relationship, the toxic guy, the world population. Oh my God, Risa, I love you. It would end. It would end. Risa said the world population would end if men had to give birth. Yes. The world population would end if men had to give birth. Oh my God. I'd be like, take me out now. Like, I don't even know where I'd go. I'd be like, I don't know, like up in heaven, like, God, do not, do not put me there. Because right now we have the freedom and the ability to run the hell away from toxic men. That would be insane chaos. But yeah, the world population would end if men had to give birth. But the fact that they would even be here to try to attempt that, these toxic men like that, it's just it's like oh my God. That would be, I don't know, somebody can make a horror movie out of that. I don't even like, okay, but I'm digressing. That could go, that topic and that title, that alone could go so many places. But if you have vision, love for yourself, you're not going to settle for that. And I guess that's what a lot of these little bitch babies and boys do not understand. And they never will until they change their frequency and they elevate. And manifesting and believing in yourself and having these standards, they're very real, they're very powerful, and it is not an easy process because you're going to deal with attacks from bitch babies, from little boys. You're going to deal with the feelings, if you're going to feel like alone and like, oh, I wish I would like to just meet somebody to go out for drinks with or whatever. Like, there's girlfriends and there's things that you can do. I don't know, but I used to go out for drinks by myself. Like, I would have sushi and 2 appletinis. I would go to the movies by myself. I've done that from such a young age, and eventually, I met people, had girlfriends, whatever. Like, you don't need a guy to do that with. You really don't, but you also want to like know who you're interacting with and who you're dealing with. Don't just get caught up in the wrong things, okay? Just for the sake of being alone, and then you want to settle and lower your standards and things like that. You don't want to have that going on. So, if you have any questions, comments, drop it down in the comment section. And I'll give you a moment. I can just be myself with you. Hisses the snake. That is so accurate and true. Hold on one second. I'm just calling my daughter. What's up?
Not much. Baby, you know how I try to keep him out of the bushes, right?
What happened?
You know how I try to keep baby out of the bushes whenever we go for walks?
Yeah.
One time, Eli get into a bush and got stung by like 10 bees.
He did not.
Yeah, I had to peel them off. I was scared. So my neighbor, as I was walking away, he was like, "Did he just get stung by bees?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, we've been spraying that bush for a while."
Is he okay? Is he okay?
He's okay, but I think he's a little shell-shocked. I have to hold him right now.
Our little baby dog just dived into a bush outside and got stung by bees. Little baby. Oh my goodness. You were pulling bees off of him. Oh my God. This child, this little puppy, he's a little child. He's allowed to be a baby. He's allowed to be a little boy. Right, Tina? Tina said, hey. All right, so just checking. He's not like, is he calm, like walking calm, or is he shaking?
Holding him, he was shaking. He was like,
He didn't know what was happening.
no, he was like screaming, and then I was trying to help him out and get the bees off, and he went to nip at me out of the
Poor guy. Oh. All right, I'll love you. I'll see you when you get back. Yeah, Tina Bean, it's not the first time. He was walking and then one came on him. Like, I don't know why, but he recovers fast. But Risa just said, I can just be myself with you. Hisses the snake. Yeah, you just so get me, right, Risa? Like, you just understand me. I feel like we have this connection and we're on a whole new level and vibe. Like there's so many. Oh no, he's good, Tina. He's gotten that before. He's fine. Uh, they come out with crazy, crazy, crazy things like unbelievable. So here we have. I just wanted to say or recap, like I was trying to say earlier. Past tense, empowered. The word empowered is past tense. It's to give someone the authority or the power to do something. I give you the authority and the power to end that toxic relationship, to stop going back to trash, to stop making excuses for trash, to level up, love yourself. Okay? You cannot empower others if you are not first empowered. Okay? An empowered woman is not talking about how much she loves dick, how she wants to get laid. She is publicly kicking back with the guys, drinking beers with the guys. There are women out there, you're compromising your moral integrity and what it means to be an empowered woman just to try to fit in, to be received and get the attention of a man. You think you have to act like a man. You think you have to be nasty about it. You think that talking and acting like that is showing that you're free with your sexuality, when in all actuality, you can shake your ass with class, and there are many levels to be highly sexual and to embrace your sexuality and your femininity, as well as your masculine side when it comes to taking lead in business and empowering yourself and building yourself up physically and mentally. Like, you can do everything when you sit at our banquet table of the empowered women, the queens that are not running around acting like that, talking like that, and all you're doing is an enabling toxic behavior with toxic men. And understand that these men don't give a fuck about you. No matter how cool that they'll say that you are, or they can kick it with you, and that you understand them, and you're embracing again, they're basically saying, thank you for being stupid. Thank you for being weak. Thank you for not having standards. Thank you for settling for somebody like me, because I refuse to do better. I can't do better. I won't do better. And I'm just so happy that there are girls out there like you that exist, because at the end of the day, I could still get laid. Come on. Please. I love you girls way too much for that. Level up, drop the loser. So again, the past tense meaning for, like Risa said, they'll say things like, I can just be myself around you. Hisses the snake, which is true. The past tense meaning for empowered means to give someone the authority or power to do something. So let's be about it, girls. Come on, level up. And to be empowered means you protect your power. Protect your power, right? Like Tina made the comment, and it's funny. It's not power to the pussy. We are empowered women. Like we are fortunate and we are blessed. Okay. Yes, we recognize that, we hold those standards, and it's so awesome. We have power in our knowledge. We have power in our authority and authority over ourselves and our body and self-control. There's nobody touching this unless I have my say so. There's nobody that's going to be allowed to interact and have an intellectual conversation, receive any nurturing, any caretaking, any wisdom, any motivation, and imparting encouragement and love, infusing. Like, nobody is allowed to have access to all these things that encompass a strong, powerful woman who is literally oozing with that love and ready to give it, but she is selective. She's not going to just give it to anybody. So for you boys out there that still don't like that, oh fucking well, stay in your lane or level up. Make excuses, make choices. I don't care either way. I'm still going to do me, and I know those empowered women and you women out there, Risa, Tina, the whole host of you, you understand it. And there's nothing more empowering in walking in that truth, because that is the truth, that to be empowered means you protect your power. You don't give it away to foolish men. You don't do that. And if you do that, obviously there's consequences to that. Okay? So any girl that hears a boy scream, kick, and say, yeah, I was going to date her, but she's just full of herself. Like, I don't want that. I want a girl who's low key like you, who gets it. He may even spice it up like the snake does. He's like, you're just so, you're humble and you're so sweet, and I could just talk to you, and you're just like, yeah, she was just too conceited. She's too full of herself, and she's this and she's that. Translation, girls that are listening to this bullshit. He didn't have the time of fucking day. And now he's trying to say to you that a woman of my caliber and the long list of other women that are up on that level that are protecting their power, he's trying to say to you, yeah, look at her over there. And you over here, the girl's like, yeah, she's pretty. She is good looking. Wow. Oh, wow. He turned her away. He turned her away. Oh, he could have had her, but he chose me. He didn't. He didn't choose you. I want you to wake up to this. I love you enough to share the truth to you girls that are encountering men like this. He got kicked to the curb. Don't fall for the lie, because he is thanking you and he is laughing and hissing like the snake that he is, that he can backtrack or find or go with somebody that is lowering their level to accept his bullshit. He couldn't meet this level up here. He couldn't do it. That's why he's over there by you. It's not, listen to the other girl's story. Some of you girls are so hung up and so desperate to feel needed, wanted, valued, to think and that you're like the cool chick and that everything's where it's at because he says so, but you're not even understanding what type of caliber of guy is telling you that. We're so desperate for the attention. And other girls out there, you may be aware that there's already some toxicity with this man, but he manipulates his words as such and will say, just like what I shared, oh yeah, like I didn't want that because she's too conceited and she's this and she's that. Some of you girls need to check in with the women. What was your take and what happened? Because I know for the strong, empowered women, we always hold evidence too. I hold on to everything. I do case studies, and Tina's aware of my case studies when it comes to guys on dating sites. I build up evidence because I will question guys because they think that, if they're catching me on a forum on a dating site, they aren't being watched or exposed or anything like that. And of course, I'll never use anybody's name publicly. They don't deserve that type of exposure anyhow. But I will actually I will catch them and I will share with you, and I've done that in certain case studies, we call them, where guys will literally out themselves. I've had guys straight out write in messages like, I just want to fuck, I just want to. So like, if you girls are entertaining that and equating sex for love, you are deceived, okay? Because sex is an extension of love. And that's just a no-go. It's just not the way to operate. And I want you to recognize what I think you already deep down inside knew, but lose sight of because you think that because you keep encountering these type of men, that's all that's out there. And that is not entirely the case. That is not entirely the case. While the good men are rare these days, they exist, but you're not going to get that caliber of man in the gutter. A girl who's in the gutter is not going to get that high level man. Just like a boy who's in the gutter is not going to get that high level woman. So again, it's everybody's free will to be in the gutter, okay? And again, this is another thing that comes up, like, well, I like sex and this and that, and it's like we're not talking about that. You love sex. In fact, those of higher caliber that meet their match have probably better sex than what you low levels are doing right about now. And that's just the God's honest truth, because it doesn't come with bullshit the next day. It doesn't come with somebody stepping outside the relationship, lying, abusing. Like, it's like game on all the time. So I don't know, you want to have like mediocrity or you want to go up. So the choice is yours, okay? But it's my hope that the women that end up hitting my inbox at the end of the day, I should have listened, I shouldn't have gone back, or I just uncovered, I wasn't the only one. It's been 20 years now and I'm still not married. Women that in the beginning they're like, oh, I'm good, he's got time to do whatever, I'm not looking to get married anytime soon, and like the things that these girls rather tell themselves to numb the pain that they're literally settling, instead of just waiting and focusing on themselves to better themselves, right? So let's see here. Tina, God gave you the power to think. I suggest you start. Amen. That's true, Tina. Very true. A trash boy can't deal with A-class women. No, they cannot. Tina recommends that you get a blow-up doll. Start blowing. Blow something. Okie dokie. Okay, so to be empowered means to protect your power. Do it. Stop hating other women. You girls out there, that's another thing, please, for the love of God. That is not being an empowered woman, hating on other women who are empowered. Like, we want you on this side of the team. We want you at this banquet table. Stop believing that you cannot be on that level. Don't think that. And the only thing you got to do is drop the loser and stop settling. Stop talking about dick. Stop chasing dick. Stop apologizing to guys for having feelings or emotions of upset when they've wronged you. And stop entertaining them. Walk the fuck away. If you're choosing to not do this, then you're going to be right on the same side of the fence with those boys, hating on the empowered, strong women. And you're going to be like, well, that's okay because I'm still getting dick at the end of the day. And what did I talk about? Like, shake your ass with class, and that there are different levels of there are different levels that you're entertaining. So if you think that you've got something in that type of scenario, I know at the end of the day you don't. And I know at the end of the day, whether it's a week, a month, a year from now, I get those messages that it's like, shit, I really should have listened, and I'm ready now. So that's fine. I mean, unfortunately, we learn from our mistakes, and if that's what you have to keep doing to get there, I hope you realize it sooner than later. You're welcome on the team. But it's time to start starving the losers, because there are nice, higher caliber, nice guys out there that got their shit straight, that know what to do all the way around. So I don't know about you, but I know about you ladies over here that are on this team. Like, it's so much better over here. So, yes, Risa, they talk the smooth talk that women want to hear, but won't walk the walk of a real man that truly wants a queen to live his life with. And that is so true. Like, here's the funny thing. For the girls and the boys that are like, queen, it's funny because the girls who are playing in the gutter, playing in the pig pen, will call themselves a queen and that they're empowered. You're not. And I've discussed in a prior video as to why. We want you to be, I'd like you to be, so come on board. For the boys that are laughing like, haha, queen, I don't know if anybody's really looked into this or not, or is aware, but like, queens still exist today. Legitimately. And there are queens in their own right. And there are certain measures that they have in place, beliefs, styles, standards. Research this. Research it, study it, live it, be it. You should not be belittling yourself and not recognizing that you are a queen. However, it's interesting that girls who are shaking their ass, not with class, talking about dick, chasing dick, getting their heart broken, doing all these crazy things, will easily use the word, they're a queen. That's not a queen. We're not, we already know what that's not. That's not a queen. So, present tense, the present tense word for empowered is make someone stronger, more confident, especially in controlling their life and claiming their rights. Okay. Free will. Free will is the power of acting without constraints. So now you have no control. You're not empowered. Of necessity or fate, the ability to act at one's own discretion. You have all the free will to act at your own discretion, but you are not empowered. And if you're not empowered, that means you're not protecting your power. You're foolishly giving it away to men, at which point you cannot empower other women. So what spirit and what energy and vibe are you operating under in all actuality? It is the vibe of free will. It has nothing to do with empowerment, so don't confuse the two. Stay in your lane or hop on over to this banquet table because you're wanted. We got to starve out those toxic men. You don't deserve the treatment. Let's get with it. Come on, there's work to be done. So you're exercising in the power of free will, and whether you're making choices of free will, you have every right to do that, but understand, just because you have the free will to do whatever it is you want to do doesn't mean that it's right. So you have all the free will to fuck up all you want and to make all the wrong choices. There are consequences. There are things that come from that. But again, we learn from those lessons. So if you're one of those people that have finally, one of those girls that, is graduating, that's realizing, okay, I need to learn from this, then you're on the right forum. There's a lot to be done, a lot to be said. And that is what I'm here to do, is to impart this to you and help elevate, encourage, exhort, lift up, and just have you remember as you go through this journey to securing your throne that you're on the right track and to not give the fuck up. Stop settling, stop backtracking to men. Oh, he called again. Oh, he missed me. I missed him. I want you to find out who you are, where you're going, what you want. Embrace your vision, your passion, discover what that is, and focus on that and get better to get best. Okay? Biggest thing. See dick run, see dick cry, leave dick for Tina. Okay, so empowered is not the same as free will. And I'm going to close with this. However, you have the free will to choose to be empowered. Please make that choice. Slay the snake. Yeah. Yes. Slay the snake. I like that one, Risa. Hell yeah. Slay the snake. Slay the beast. For example, some women exclaim, so what? I love sex. I'll dress any way I want to. I'm an empowered woman. And then you got the boys going over there. Yeah, see? She loves it. She loves being abused. She loves being violated. Yeah, that's like it. So what? She likes kink in bed. First of all, Tina can tell you, I guess you could say at some point in time, a little bit about my past, because it'll probably come up. I was an expert, a sexpert. Okay? I'm very familiar with role playing, the scene of dominance and submission, things of that nature. And I can tell you now, it does not entail stupidity. And that's a topic that I'm going to discuss another time. So, for example, some women exclaim, so what? I love sex. I'll dress any way I want to. I'm an empowered woman. So I can fuck, lie, cheat, have friends with benefits, hook up, right? Encompassing this. I'm confident in my own skin to do that. And remember, I get these messages at the end of the day, the girls are upset. I get these messages at the end of the day. Crack the whip. Tina, shh. I'm kidding. Go. You go, girl. Don't silence your voice. From the girls that are like completely upset. They're like, what did I do? Like, I thought he was going to leave her. but he was fucking around with other people, and like he went back to her like multiple times. And then like I've seen these girls and they're still fucking with these guys after they know that they have gone back to one. Like, okay, this is a whole, it's like a mess. It's nasty. You know, it's sad. Just come to the banquet. So I'm confident in my own skin. I have no problem sleeping with as many men as I want to, hooking up or having friends with benefits because I'm in control and confident. Total opposite to have this mentality because women are stigmatized. Okay, so a lot of you girls out there are having this mentality that, you know, you're going to be looked upon as a slut, called a slut, and all these different things because you choose to have, you choose, Risa did it again. Upper level sex. Truth. Oh, that is so true. Because let me tell you something, little boys cannot hit. And Tina's like, oh, yes. They cannot. They cannot. Oh, there is bigger and better. I'm telling you, girls, you have. Anyhow, so, yeah, so I'm going to talk about dick. I'm going to chase dick because I'm cool. And like, you have these guys like, haha, you're so cool. Dude, they laugh at you behind your back. They say you're annoying. Okay. They say all these obscure things that you could either later be aware of, become aware of, like, and then it'll manifest if those two options aren't presented. It'll manifest in their treatment of you and like the inability, like they will not commit, they will not be loyal, and they will lie. And like Risa was sharing, they're snakes. Like, you identify this type of individual from the beginning, understand you need to end it right then and there. It's not going to change when you allow the behavior. And by remaining, you are allowing it. It doesn't matter how many sorries that the person says or what. If Dina says you can go to dickheads.com. Is that a real site? You girls are cracking me up, but it's so true. I'm going to click that later. I want to see if that exists. So you're crying about being called a slut or stigmatized. So you feel by breaking that stigma, the only way to break that stigma is to exclaim and to act out how much you love sex, how you'll chase dick, and just be vulgar and nasty. That's not a representation of being classy and a queen and really having it like that. You're just all you're attracting is trash. That's it. And you're settling. So your vibe dictates your tribe. And your vibe dictates the dick you're going to get, the type of dick you're going to get. So there you have that. So I'll dress any way I want. I'll fuck whoever I want. I'll sleep around. You know, low-level dick over here says it's cool and he's cool with it, so I'm cool with it. And I want to be loved and blah, blah, blah. So, and that's not love. We don't, you know, sex is not equal love. So as you're trying to alleviate that stigma, you are really, all you're doing is you're reinforcing it. And that's sad. You're reinforcing it, and you're reinforcing it to boys who are really trashy. Again, like I said, please scroll down later on when you have time. Check out that public service announcement done by Tommy about boys. Read the comments of what those guys are saying, because those responses are the responses that I've seen in case studies that I've done on dating sites. And I respond to certain men. I ask questions. I respond a certain way. I will do different types of presentations, you know, to see how far they'll go, what they'll say, where their head's really at. Yeah, no pun intended there, because I know it's in no good places right there. But like, literally, you'll see the type of caliber of guy that you're dealing with that is nasty. And it's only going to bring you sickness and disease, stress, chaos. That's all they operate in. So when Tommy called them out, like a lot of women will be doing, more and more on the rise, and it's coming, because wait, there's a lot of stuff coming. You get to actually see their true intentions and responses. So I cannot emphasize that enough. Check that out. Scroll through the comments and see how nasty they are. And those things that they say, if you were a woman that got herself empowered and stood up to this trash, they're going to start saying it about you. And that's all well and good, because you don't want that type of caliber of guy. But you'll also find certain men, real men, step up and just laugh at these guys because they're losers. These type of boys actually get emasculated by real men too. They hate even guys like they're trying to be like that. Oh, I want muscles like that. They won't say that. I want to have that. And this. Like they have nothing. They're too busy hating on the men that have something, too busy hating on the women that have something. They're hating on what they'll never be when it comes to the men that are men, and they're hating on what they'll never get when it comes to the women that are real women. So you little girls and little boys, like you girls, see, I'm a female, so I'm trying to fish you girls out of that murky swamp. I care more about you than I do about those boys because they're literally the problem. We have the ability, like I was trying to share earlier, we're the ones that give birth. We've been through pain. We know what pain's like. We know how to rise. We know how to nurture. So we have the ability to lead and start starving these little boys out by not paying them any mind and attention and cutting them off indefinitely. Level up, please. So I will close, like I said earlier, I tried to close with this. To have this mentality, because women are stigmatized for being called a slut, whore, etc., and to send the message of being empowered to do those things, to break that stigma, in essence, is not breaking that stigma, it's reinforcing it, because again, what is the definition of empowered, empower, and free will? And I've already shared what that is. In essence, some women are reinforcing the stigma against other women as well, because they're choosing their free will. And yeah, you have the right to choose wrong and make fucked up choices, but to act without constraints, taking away your power and giving your power to foolish boys by empowering someone else, which are the foolish boys, you are depleting your own confidence, your own ability to move forward, your own power, your own self-worth, leads to anxiety, depression, whole host of issues. And then you just throw in the towel and you settle and you think, and you actually then believe that you're stuck with this person and that's all that there is. And there really, really is not. Because not everybody lies and cheats and does all those things. Okay? But you're not going to get to that level of recognition, and you're not going to bring that into your life when you're sending out the wrong energy and you're still attracting boys. Just because you can doesn't mean that you should. Absolutely, Risa. Absolutely. So take a moment to think about how much of your power you're giving away. Every time you're apologizing for something that's not your fault, you're kissing a guy's ass like a boy, you're chasing boys. Every time you're sitting out there shouting, like, you know, oh yeah, I love dick, and haha, like I'm like, you know, just like be a woman, be classy, shake that ass with class for yourself first and foremost. Don't be trashy. Empower is to make somebody stronger and more confident. That's not how you make somebody stronger and more confident. Above all, you do not look stronger or more confident, and then you attract the boys who are not strong and confident, and then you can't complain at the end of the day. So I would rather not see the heartbreak and the upset and other issues that come along with entertaining this energy and attracting the boys, okay? We're going to level up here. Women who give their power away to men are, in short, not empowered. Control is lost. The men who are not emotionally mature have no desire to commit. Some women, out of desperation, are choosing to be controlled by the way a toxic man chooses to live his life, and in turn, she then starts to lower her value, her standards, and meets him at his low level. And that's, in essence, what you're doing. You think in your head that you have the control. You think that you're fucking without emotion. You think that you're strong enough and you're fucking around because you don't need commitment. All the host of things, and the list goes on. These are not your thoughts. These were things that were planted in you by settling and being desperate because you're just so into this guy and it's all you can get, and this is all you think you can get, and he's giving you attention because you were doing the very thing that he wants you to do, to lower yourself, your values, to become as low as his, so that he can have easier access to infiltrate and continue to manipulate you. Because when he meets somebody like me or any other empowered woman who calls him out on his bullshit, he needs somewhere to get laid. That's the hard truth. You are worth more than that. Recognize this. And you can get more than just that. Like I said, Pick a side. The short version is she lowers her standards, she chooses and is choosing to settle without being aware, or she is aware and just doesn't care. That's for the girls that have lost all their faith and hope in love, and they think that every guy out there is like that. In addition, so she just goes out there and she self-destructs and fucks every guy, takes it any way she can get it, just anything for attention and to make her feel confident from within. And it's just not the way to go. If I work my ass off, I get my body tight, my mind tight, I ain't giving that away to just anybody. You can look, but don't touch. You don't have the fucking currency, mentally, emotionally, intellectually. You can look, but my self-worth and my validation and improving myself is not predicated on the compliments of others. That's another thing little girls are doing, and I need you guys to recognize, rise up, be the queens that you are. Your self-worth and validation and who you are and self-love should be predicated and indicative only to how you feel. Think and look. Look at yourself in the mirror every day. You tell your damn self that you look good. Some guy wants to say you look good and he's of low level caliber, whatever. Don't pay him any mind. You already know the answer to how you look anyway. He's attractive. Now you're going up. You're raising your game. You're raising your energy. You're attracting the right one. He tells you you look beautiful. Thank you, sweetheart. See, but the boys that don't have anything to offer, they tell you, hey, what's up, baby? You're beautiful. We, strong women, tell them where they can go. Oh, it's like that. Yes, it's like that. Because you don't give those best aspects and qualities of yourself to just anyone. That's how you girls are falling into traps, because you're taking compliments from just anybody, getting googly-eyed, and ended up in a toxic situation with a boy. You save those best aspects of yourself, all that is woman and strength, your love, your compassion, your ability to nurture, to give wisdom, all those things, your body, your time is reserved for the guy who's at that level. Not these guys who are fucking around with friends with benefits and hooking up and having multiple partners, in and out of drugs, doing drugs, this and that. Come on, the whole list goes on. Stop hurting yourself out there. So, and I will end with this. This is the longest live I've done. By the way, this information I'm sharing will be in my upcoming book, and it's designed for you guys to sit down and read, because I know you're not going to sit here and listen to 2-hour lives all the time, but like in your quiet time, cup of tea, coffee, whatever it is you choose. It's called From Loneliness to Life. It's about leveling up. It's about these truths. It's about you being aware and knowing your enemy. These boys are your enemy. They don't care what disease they give you. They don't care what they do, what they say. Only if you buckle down and apologize for things that are not your fault and keep giving them opportunity and access to your life. And then, again, there's that Band-Aid fix you're giving them. Now you're not calling them out. They don't have to fix or change anything. You don't want something like that. But if you do, you have to look at yourself. And deep down inside, I know you don't want something like that, because like I always say, I get the messages later on. And for the messages that I don't get, you've just not hit that point. You have not hit rock bottom, and you're not hitting that point where you're really humble enough to acknowledge the truth. That shit is not good. It's not healthy, and it hurts, and it gets you upset. Stop living your life like that. Stop settling. Come to the banquet table. By remaining with snakes, you empower them. Absolutely. That is so true, Risa. So true. So an example of an empowered woman, showing you're empowered isn't predicated on hookups, friends with benefits, how many men you can sleep with outside of the relationship. It doesn't matter what these low-level men are encouraging you and cheering you on to do. And since they're out there doing that, I'm over here, as well as the queens here on this live and all the other ones, encouraging you to stop. Come to the right side of the fence. Okay? We're going to encourage with truth, and the boys are going to encourage with bullshit. Big difference. Big difference out there. Being empowered is in your ability to be in control of self-control, self-love, and self-respect. Showing you're empowered isn't displayed in how well you rock that sexy outfit. Rock that fucking sexy outfit. Being empowered is rocking it for yourself first and foremost. For your damn self. Because you know you look good, right? And deny access to men who have no self-control and nothing to offer you. Love you all, queens. God bless. No stress. And like I said, I've only just begun. I will talk to you later. I love you, Tina being my queen. And Risa, you are amazing. I want to see you again on another live. Yeah, you're funny. I love that. You guys are amazing. And I will talk to you all soon. There's so much more to come.